Hello, I'm Solazar.
Hi, I'm Kirillani, and welcome to Good Vibrations, Tools for Transformation on AM 540 KRXA.
Now, quantum physics tells us that we're all energy vibrating at different frequencies, and in Good Vibrations, we bring you information that allows you to change the vibrational frequency of your life. Now, Good Vibrations is made possible through the sponsorship of Jacqueline Joy, creator of Diamond Alignment, and Liliana Bethany and Nolan Matthew, founders of Seventh Awakening. And our guests tonight include Jacques Fresco and Roxanne Meadows from the Venus Project, and Peter Joseph, producer of Zeitgeist and Zeitgeist Addendum. But before we talk with our guests this evening, Kirillani will introduce us to the energy of the week, the month, and the year in her Go with the Flow.
Well, thanks, Solazar. And if we look at what this year is all about, it is a year that's about awakening within us the illumination, the inspiration, the unconditionality. And that means unconditional love and unconditional trust, unconditional hope and unconditional faith. And not just awakening that within us, but to start living that in the world. I was looking at another website, looking up some information about that beautiful full moon that we had on the 4th. I guess that was Friday. And it was talking about how last month the full moon was about letting your dream take you by the hand. And this full moon is really more about, instead of hoping that someone or something will inspire your dream, that you are the inspiration for your dream. And that's really where astrology and numerology come together with the same answer for what this period is about. It's this opportunity, this time of this year. The harvest moon is all about the fulfillment. It's about the manifestation. It's truly, if you planted a garden, about harvesting all the fruits and vegetables that you planted and seeing the abundance that it brings in your life. And that, if you look at a metaphorical level, gives you this period that's incredibly potent, incredibly powerful with promise. September is all about limitless possibility, limitless potential. It's that energy of the creative void that anything is possible within it. Anything can come out of it. And from it emerges magic and miracles. So it's a time to get beyond anything that you think is a limitation in your life. And Richard Bach so eloquently said, argue your limitations and they're yours. This month, if no other month, is the month to make sure that you're looking at what you're putting out there in the world with your thoughts, with your feelings, with your actions, with your words. What limitations are you arguing for? Now, this is not all that easy because we've lived for 1,000 years in this era of limitation. And so it's ingrained within us in the patterns of how we think, in the patterns that are stored within our amygdalas, within our brains. So it requires extra vigilance and extra diligence in this time period as you're putting out there into the universe what you are asking for. Ask yourself, do I want a limitless amount of whatever this is that I'm talking about? And if you are feeling drawn to complaining or negativity or talking about how bad everything is, take the time to stop and refocus yourself and reframe and say, okay, maybe that is the way it is today. And we have to be realistic about the state of our lives, the state of the world, of how it is today. But then refocus on what do you want it to be. And sometimes when we come into this life, we first learn what we don't want. And I think that through a lot of the programming that we've gone through as we've grown up, think back to school when they had you take multiple choice exams. And you start learning to look at the world like it's a multiple choice exam of saying, well, give me what my list of options are and I'll pick from that. You know, when Solazar and I are going to go out to dinner, a lot of times I'll give him a multiple choice list and ask him to pick from one of those things. Instead of saying, well, what's possible? What if none of the above is really the answer that we want to be looking at right now. Because all of the things that we have in our consciousness of how the world works is based on this era of limitation. And as we march toward 2012, the seeds that we're planting right now are what we'll be creating a limitless amount of. So those can either be seeds that are based on love and faith and trust, or they can be seeds that are based on hate and war and fear. And every action we take, every thought we think, every belief we have, every phrase that we put out there into the world, and every action we take, we are voting for one of those options. And our guests tonight really help us look at that in the world of what the current state of affairs is, what truth is, and then help share with us a vision of what would be possible that is in that box of the none of the above. And I think that's our Go With The Flow for now, and we'll be sharing a little bit more about Go With The Flow in the third hour.
Well, at this time, why don't we welcome our guests? We have Jacques Fresco, Roxanne Meadows, and Peter Joseph. And can you all hear us?
Yes. Nice to be back with you again.
Yes, Jacques
Welcome.
and Roxanne, it's wonderful to have you back. And Peter, it's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, what we want to talk about a little bit here is the background of Jacques and Roxanne and Peter Joseph. Now, Jacques Fresco is a wonderful, creative, Renaissance man and a true original. And he's the founder of the Venus Project, and Roxanne's been with him for many, many years, and they live on a 25-acre research facility outside Venus, Florida. And it's based on the concept of a resource-based economy. And we last spoke to them at the beginning of June, and we look forward to hearing more about that. And Peter has actually had an interesting life, started in North Carolina, moved to New York, and ended up, and we'll let you tell a little about that, Peter, but ended up producing 2 movies. He'd never done it before. But his first movie, Zeitgeist, has probably been seen by over 100 million viewers throughout the world. It's on the internet. It can be downloaded. It can be purchased. It can be shared. And then Zeitgeist Addendum is where he took it a little further. And Peter, we thought we might start a little bit with you initially, talking about Zeitgeist and what led you to first produce this particular movie that in some cases offends people and in other cases enlightens them.
Well, interestingly, the first film wasn't a film at all. It was actually a multimedia performance that was conducted in Lower Manhattan for a small group of people in a free multi-night run that I put together. I was working in advertising, and it's very unfulfilling to be working in such a medium, but that was the nature of affairs for me to make money. So, I always had a social interest, so I decided to do something for myself and do something that I felt would be socially relevant. So I put together this multimedia project, and as a musician, believe it or not, the first film I was actually performing along with that first film. It was based on an old vaudevillian concept of live musicians that, of course, is now outdated. But regardless, after the event was over, it was well received, mainly friends that came to it, and it was, again, just a poetic statement. I put the thing on the internet, and somehow it started to spread. And to my amazement, and again, mind you, I had no clearance for any of the footage that was in it. It was a completely underground production. And as it spread like a virus, suddenly not only did people want interest in radio shows and want information in support of it, and of course the criticisms came forward, of course the threats of lawsuit came forward, and everything else. And amazingly enough, I was able to pull through with